Hey, how you doing? Hope you all are doing great. As you've seen in the thumbnail, in this video, we're going to see what if Naruto got in a harem with Zelda. This is part 2, and before getting into video, I request you to check the author of this fanfic and show some love and support. Name of the story is The Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess Tremor 230 style by Tremor 230, do check it. All details in description. And if you want next part of this series, please leave a like, share, and consider subscribe. Let's get into the video. Also check out Patreon for uncensored spicy content. Link in description. 4 Bulblins were patrolling the area near the entrance of the village, casually stopping under the huge tree hosting Naruto's house to discuss what to do. They were Garflaf, Norik, Yomond, and Bob. Yes, the latter's parents were assholes. Their shrieking talk was interrupted when a red-furred missile pounced on them, grabbing Bob by the throat and throwing him away. As the other jumped into action, the big 10-tailed fox dodged back, ignoring the cheering of both Midna and Yadajimai, as he dodged a wide swipe of one of the Bulblins, tearing away the offending arm with a bite before jumping on one of the others, tearing the flesh around its neck away with a single bite. Looking in rage, as one of their own had been killed, the 3 remaining creatures charged together the offending animal. Just feel lucky you did not meet me within human body, bastards, Naruto yelled, jumping to the left to dodge and pushing the Bulblin in front of him face down in the mud, jumping away to evade the big club that instead splattered the forest with the brain of the down creature. 2 down. 2 to go, the blonde said, charging forward and head-butting the 3rd Bulblin against a tree where it left a deep imprint before slumping down with its spine reduced to splinters. Want to try me? Naruto asked, looking at the last remaining Bulblin with narrowed eyes, sighing when the creature tried to hit him. Cannon fodder? What did you expect? Yadajimai said. Who are you? I can hear a second voice in here. Midna said, TCH. I am Yadajimai, Naruko's friend and mate. The vixen answered, crossing her arms. Gimi-chan. Naruto yelled with wide eyes. I heard you telling me I like you, so I am just stating my claim. She answered. Oh, this is too much fun. I knew it was a good idea asking you for this. Midna said with a long laugh. Who's there? Naruto? Is that you? Ilya asked, showing herself from the house's window. Good lord, thank you. You are safe. Naruto said, elated. What happened to you? She asked in horror. It's a long story. Did they try to capture you? He asked. No, well, it's not like I can walk easily after what you did, so I just had to hide here and wait. Ilya answered, her face completely red. Ooh, something naughty happened, and I wasn't informed? How rude of you, Naruto. Midna muttered with a wide smile. I am coming up, the young man said, jumping up towards the door. Ilya moving to let him in. What happened? She asked. After those creatures attacked, and I sent you away, I followed their traces. I ended up in front of a barrier. Then a huge black hand dragged me through the barrier, and when I woke up, I was a fox. Naruto answered. It was a shadow beast, just so you know. Midna whispered in his ear. What's happening? I heard a scream about the children. Naruto asked. They had been kidnapped. Ruzzle tried to protect them, but he had been wounded pretty badly. I fear my father may try something stupid to save them. Can you help them? Ilya asked. I may be a fox now, but I still know how to fight. Don't worry, I will find them. Naruto said with a nod. Please be careful. I don't want to lose you. The girl pleaded, hugging him tightly. I love you, Ilya, he said with a smile, licking her cheek playfully. I love you too, Naruto, she answered with an happy sigh and a wide smile. Yeah, Yadajimai growled, giving Naruto the mental equivalent of a slap on the back of his head. Jealous? Midna asked with a smirk. Shut the fuck up, imp. You may be little, but you still have a huge ass. The vixen answered. Oi. Midna answered in anger. Quiet, you two. Yadajimai, we will talk later about this. Naruto thought in answer. No, we are fixing this now. Choose me or Ilya? She asked. Both? In a nice hot threesome after a romantic dinner? I'll throw in a sexy back rub for after the sex. Naruto answered. Baka. The spluttering vixen said. Nice way to defuse her. Midna said with a giggle. I was serious. I love my little vixen as well. I don't want to lose her. I just wish there was a way to unseal her from my body without killing me. Naruto answered. KYA. I love you too. Yadajimai squealed happily, talking about doing a 180. What about the human girl? Midna muttered in surprise. He can keep her for the moment. Once out of this seal, I'll show him what a real woman can do, and that we are better matched as well since we have known each other for years. She answered, suit yourself, as long as you two are happy. Midna said, unconcerned. Naruto? Ilya asked, worried. Just talking with Yadajimai. He answered, what does that bitch want? She's not trying to make a move on you now that you are a fox, isn't she? I hope she is hearing me, because I am not leaving her having her dirty way with you. She said with narrowed eyes. He is mine, you dirty whore. The ten-tailed vixen said from the seal. Let's just focus on those kids, shall we? Midna asked with a sigh of annoyance. Listen, Ilya, stay hidden and don't come out no matter what. I'll see what I can do to save the children, okay? Naruto asked. Okay. Please be careful. Ilya pleaded. I will, don't worry. The young man answered, jumping out of the window and rapidly moving towards the village in the hope to understand what happened and stopping the mayor from enacting his latest foolishness. Orton Village. Few minutes later, a big ten-tailed fox could be seen dragging the unconscious mayor in a secluded area of the village, ninja training or not. Having a drop on the quite fat man had been pretty easy, and heavy beating later, and he had gone down like a sack of potatoes for Naruto to hide. You! What have you done to the mayor? Russell demanded. He was sporting several rounds of bandages around his head and in heavy limp in his steps. But still he held the sword tightly with a fiery passion in his eyes. I just wanted to stop this idiot from getting killed, Russell. Naruto answered. How do you know my name? The swordsman asked, his eyes narrowing dangerously. I know it as I know that you like to be tied to the bed while your wife shows you the alternative uses for oil and blindfolds. You should stop drinking. You tend to blurt out some rather dirty secrets. He answered with a chuckle, grinning at Russell's horrified look. Nana Naruto? He asked. Unfortunately, yes. Somehow I was turned into this. I am still going to help those children. Mind stopping our esteemed mayor from committing suicide? Naruto asked. I'll take care of that, but are you okay? How come you changed into that? Russell asked. Like hell I know. Last thing I remember, I was waiting for Epona to heal at the spirit spring. Then we got attacked. After taking both horse and Ilya to safety, I followed those creatures. When I woke up, I found myself like this. He answered. Is there a way for you to return to normal? The man asked. I really hope so. Was the answer. I hope so as well. Now go. If the other sees you, they may not be so understanding. The kidnappers moved towards the spirit spring and towards the woods. Be careful. I don't know how you plan to fight well like that, but I know you well enough to know that you will find a way out of sheer stubbornness. Russell said. I'll be okay. Don't worry. You don't overdo yourself, and pay attention. I'll bring your son back in one piece. Naruto said with a fierce nod. Okay, I trust you. The man answered, watching the fox move. Ah, Naruto? Yes? Tell to someone that thing about my wife, and I will use you to create a fur coat for her. Russell said, trying to convey as much threatening intent as he could in his glare. His shoulders, though, dropped heavily as the young man's long, amused laugh echoed everywhere in answer. Don't worry, I won't talk. Your kinky secrets are safe with me. Naruto answered as he sprinted away. Bastard. Russell muttered with a defeated sigh, vowing once again to not drink any more in the blonde's company, so to salvage whatever dignity he still possessed. With Naruto and Midna near the spirit spring, they had been probably brought in the Twilight. I'll let you in, Midna said as they moved rapidly back towards the spirit spring. Roger. Naruto answered. Wait. A voice called out as they passed near the spring's entrance. Who are you? Naruto asked, moving his fox body into a combat stance, his 10 tails waving around menacingly. Call me. To my spring, the voice asked pleadingly. What now? The young man muttered with a sigh, nearing the waters with his senses as sharp as possible. You have been transformed by the power of shadow, the voice said. I already suspected that it reacted with the seal holding Yadajimai, right? Naruto asked. Yes. Come to me. Closer? The blonde muttered, taking few steps forward. To his surprise, several strangely shaped rods erupted from underwater, surrounding him. What the hell? He yelled, jumping back with a growl. Beware. The Twilight will be infested by shadow beasts. They will come to stop you. The voice said as a strange creature appeared in front of the 10-tailed fox. It had a black body, seemingly made from solidified smoke with darker markings on it. A flat mask of stone with an eye-like hole in its middle acting like head and dirty-looking greasy hair behind it, Letting out a deep growl, the beast took a tentative swipe on the shinobi, forcing him to jump back to dodge. "You are one ugly fucker, you know?" he asked as he got grabbed and slammed with brute strength down. "And you do pack some punch," he added with a groan, biting the hand strongly enough to tear off the whole thing, leaving a smoking stump at the end of the creature's arm. "Roar!" The shadow beast roared in blind fury. "Oh, shut up. It's just a flesh wound," Naruto said, sprinting forward to hit with a headbutt the creature, cracking the mask and making it howl in pain. "Just die already," Naruto yelled, grabbing with a bite the creature's neck and pulled back, snapping it with a loud, sickening snap sound. Once dead, the creature dissolved into smoke, dispersing in the wind. "Now you owe me some kind of explanation. What's happening here?" he asked with a heavy glare, waiting for whatever talked earlier to give him some answers. To answer him, the poles disappeared while strange markings started shining in a pure light on the various rocks adorning the spirit spring. The very same water seemed to turn into pure light. "Now, that is something different," Yadajimai commented with a nod. The light grew and grew in intensity until the whole area got covered in a blinding shining. From the depths of the water, a small sphere of light resembling a miniaturized sun emerged, hovering over the spring while twisting on itself to find a definite shape. The light then settled to take the appearance of a huge, goat-like creature with a smaller sphere of light held between the long horns on its head. Looking down on Naruto from its towering height, it talked with a voice holding a heavenly warmness and gentleness. "Oh, brave youth," the light said with a booming voice. "I am one of the 4 light spirits that protect Hyrule at the behest of the gods. I am Ordona. Hooray for the originality. That thing protects Orden Village and what it is called? Ordona," Yadajimai said with a heavy dose of sarcasm. "Now is not the time for jokes," Naruto said. "The creature you slayed was a shadow being. It had come to seize the power of light I wield." The light said, "You said that you are one of the 4 guardians. What happened to the others? Are they too under attack?" The blonde asked. "Yes, I am but one of 4, but for my brethren in Hyrule is already too late. Their light has already been stolen by those fell beasts. The entire kingdom has been reduced to a netherworld ruled by the cursed power of darkness." The light answered with a pained voice. "This is no good. The thing is getting worse at any passing minute. Izabito and Madara all over again," Naruto said with a childish whine. "I know this situation may bring despair to your heart, but we need to be strong. The plight will not stop with Hyrule. Before long, the entire world of light will fall into the hands of the king who rules the Twilight." The light said, "Yes, I know how these things works, a small country and then the whole world. Was there a maniacal after too?" Naruto asked, watching as the light moved its head slightly back in surprise. "You're talking with someone that already had to fight an evil mastermind who wanted to rule the world, enslave humanity, etc., etc., in a single motion. What do you want me to do?" The blonde asked with a sigh, sitting down and watching the light intently, his tone completely on business like only an ANBU would sound. "M.E. Cough. 2. To save this land from the king of Twilight, the lost light must be recovered." The light answered uncertain. "Did I ruin the solemnity of moment?" Naruto asked with a yawn. "A little. We thought you were a farmhand," the light said, a little taken aback by the situation. "Go on. I won't interrupt you anymore," the blonde said with an apologetic tone. "The 3 light spirits who have lost their light must be revived. It's pretty much important." "Okay, go on," Naruto said, prompting the light to continue. "Well, there is someone able to revive them and redeem this land. That one is you. You have still not discovered your true power." The light said, "No, I pretty much know what my power is, thank you." Naruto said, "Do you mind?" The light asked, a touch of annoyance marring its tone. "Sorry, go on. I won't interrupt," the blonde said with a sheepish grin. "Those transformed by the Twilight usually cannot recover their original forms." "What the fuck?" Naruto yelled. "Let me finish. I said that they usually cannot recover their original forms. But if you were to return to the woods where you were firstly transformed and were to revive the light in there, then by the power of the light spirit, you may find the means to return to your other state of being." "I think," the light said. "You sure?" Naruto asked hopefully. "Well, it's a good possibility," the creature of light answered with a nod. "Better than anything, I guess. Any suggestion? Be strong, chosen one. Great trials awaits you. The light said, its body erupting into a shower of sparks that returned underwater, making the darkness of the night return in the spring. Well, that was eventful. What do you think that thing meant with that chosen one thing? Still referring to the toad's prophecy? Naruto asked aloud. Like hell I know. For now, let's focus on saving those children. Then we will take care of the Light Guardians. Yadajimai said, you two are getting always stranger, do you know? It seems I choose to follow a pair of crazy nutters. Midna said with an heavily amused tone. You have no idea how much shit me and Yadajimai went through. Once done here, I think that a little telling will be necessary. Naruto said with a sigh. If you really have to. Midna said, voice dripping in boredom. A little jog later, and the tall barrier was once again in front of the blonde shinobi. What now? He asked. I'll take care of this. Remember, the Faron woods that you once knew are now covered in twilight. So pay attention since we won't meet fluffy bunnies in there. Midna said with a big smirk. TCH. Just let's go, Midna. Show me what you can do. Naruto said. Watch and be amazed. The tiny girl said, surfacing from his shadow and entering the barrier, creating ripples on its surface. Barely few seconds later, her huge hair-made hand shot out, grabbing Naruto in its massive grasp. Okay, I am amazed, the young man admitted as he was pulled through the barrier. Few instants later, Faron Woods. The woods were an utter mess, while still looking alive. Both trees and grass had took a more grayish tint, with the leaves looking completely black. An unnatural silence ruled absolute, while not even the smallest insect could be seen around. After being trained in feeling the natural chakra in nature, Naruto couldn't help but shiver slightly at the feeling of the twilight tainting the very energy around him, like some sort of parasite infecting nature, making Yadajimai sneer in disdain at the feeling. The strange thing that was out of the picture was the faraway lament that was echoing everywhere, carrying both sadness and pain at the same time. Who would be singing in a moment like this? The foxified blonde asked. That is not a song, silly. That is the lamentation of the spirit that had its light stolen. Where in the world could it be? Minna said with a giggle. If I didn't know better, I may think that you're finding the idea of the end of the world amusing. Naruto said, slowly walking towards the source of the lamentation. Don't be so hard on me. I usually live in the twilight. For me, this is normal. If you want this to stop, you'll have to hurry up and find the light for that spirit. I won't be blamed if you fail in this. She answered, leaning down on his back to enjoy his soft fur. So, am I doing this alone? What a pity. I was starting to enjoy your company. The other answered in sarcasm. Well, I promised to help you, right? Midna said with a knowing smirk. Why do I feel a bit incoming? He asked with a sigh. Let's say that in exchange for my help, I will need you to gather some things for me. She answered, whispering in his ear with a wide smile. What kind of things? Look, I can't tell you all the details now, but it will be easy, trust me. The small imp answered. I swear, if you drag me to buy a dildo, a vibrator or something like that, I will bite your legs off. Naruto answered in indignation, remembering fully well the last time he had to gather some things for someone. He still had to forgive Tsunami for that. He knew he would never again see the woman in the same light after that. Can you take this seriously? Midna asked with crossed arms. I am serious. I won't help you buy anything smut-related. He answered. You really need to tell me what kind of life you had before we met. The girl muttered, shaking her head, while muttering in a low voice several curses at whatever being that forced him to undergo a new quest to save the world. A tear opened in the sky, making 3 dark-skinned creatures drop in front of the ex-shinobi, while a barrier appeared to cut him off from the rest of the woods. 3 shadow beasts against a lone fox? Isn't this an overkill? Naruto asked, surprised. Afraid? Midna asked back, more likely annoyed. Any suggestion? He answered, the 3 creatures briefly shrieking at each other before slowly stalking closer to him. Are you asking for help? I am surprised. Midna said with an amused tone. You said it. You live in the twilight. You probably know those things better than me. I learned to stop and think instead of rushing out towards the unknown. Had to risk my life several times to learn that, though. The young man said with a sigh. They have to die at the same time. If one remains, he will just revive the others. To help you out of this, I will just create an energy field and... Midna started answering, She stopped abruptly when she felt the grass of the forest floor hit her backside, as the fox she had been riding seemingly teleported away from the speed of his sprint. Tearing the throat of one of the beasts off the former Konoha, Shinobi moved through a substitution technique, with one of the shadow beasts still alive, watching in satisfaction as the third creature beheaded the other with the strength of its attack. Before it could react, the last remaining shadow beast saw red fur fill its vision as the blonde teared open its stomach with a bite, making it look down at the gaping hole for an instant before falling face first on the floor, the three creatures dissolving into smoke under the eyebrow-raised expression of Midna. I may not be able to do much while with the body of a fox, but seal-less jutsus like tree walking, water walking, and korimi substitution can still help a lot, Naruto said cheerfully as the barrier around him dropped. Did you have to do this? I was about to help you, you know? I may want to feel useful from time to time, instead of someone just tagging along. Would have it been so bad to have me give you a hand? Midna asked with an huff, dropping on his back roughly and yanking his ear in annoyance. You mean you are not with me just to say hey? Listen, every 5 seconds to point out the obvious? He asked. What? No. Who do you think I am? Midna said, taken aback. Sorry, let's just go. Once reached the spirit springs in the woods, both Naruto and Midna could see a little ensemble of sparks flying closer to form a small cloud of sort hovering over the water of the spring. Hello? Can you hear me? Naruto asked aloud, somehow knowing that the light turned to look at him. Please, be careful. These woods have changed. The light said weakly. Yes, I could feel it. Something is corrupting the place, Naruto said, ignoring Midna's offended grunt at his treating the twilight as an infestation. The dark clouds of dusk cover this land. This drape of shadows is called Twilight, the light said. Even if a whisper, its voice was still filled with disgust. Not everyone from the Twilight realm is bad, you know, the small girl muttered, ignoring that the fox she was riding managed to hear her. In this twilight, those who live in the light become as mere spirits. It is a place where the dark ones and evil creatures dwell, the massive sparks said, making Midna flinch and Naruto growl. Can you please get to the point and stop gratuitously insult whoever lives in the twilight, please? He asked with narrowed eyes and an angry tone, missing the girl's surprised expression and the small smile she had after his words. I am. Sorry? The light asked, curious. Yeah, you're one of the 4 light spirit. Twilight is evil and blah blah blah. What do I need to do to help you? Naruto, blue-eyed beast? The light asked in confusion. Get to the point, or I will leave you like that. Naruto yelled in anger. Please, look for my light. Retrieve the light stolen by the dark beasts, and keep it in this vessel. Please. The light pleaded, making a short rope holding several small spheres appear on the shore of the spring. I will help you, but then we will have a talk about this whole thing, and you better give me the answers I need. Otherwise, we'll have a problem, and you don't need to add someone like me to your list of enemies. Naruto said, grabbing the small vessel with one of his tails and giving it to the quietly bewildered Midna. I will answer all your questions. Chosen one, just hurry. Without my light, I can't free the forest from the twilight. The light answered, watching the fox walk away without giving a sign of acknowledgement. The creatures took the appearance of insects of darkness. They are the form taken by evil once it has latched to our scattered light. You won't be able to find them in the shadows of the twilight. I'll deal with this myself. Thank you, I don't need anything from you. Naruto answered without looking back, his tone dripping in disdain. Chosen one? The light muttered in confusion. Once far from the spirit spring, Midna awkwardly patted the blonde's head. Thanks, she muttered. He was a pretentious asshole. He and the other talked about the twilight as if it was evil incarnate. You say to come from there, and you don't seem evil to me. On the contrary, you seems like an okay girl. He answered. For the first time in a long time, Midna didn't know how to answer to those words. As the awkward silence continued, the blonde felt the intense need to rub the back of his neck. We spoke with 2 of them, and they kept saying how bad the twilight was and how much it was filled with evil beings. I thought that since they were talking about your home, you would have felt insulted since I would have in your place. Sorry, the young man said with a sigh. No, I appreciated it. Come on, let's go find that light so the spirit will be happy. Midna said, kicking his sides to make him run. Chop chop. Hurry up, Mr. Shinobi. We can't slack off, she said with a gleeful voice. As you wish, Princess Midna, Naruto answered with an amused chuckle, this time missing her flinching as he sprinted forward. You won't be able to see those creatures. What will we do? The girl asked, curious. Those are insects of darkness that ate the light, right? Naruto asked. Hua, she said with a nod. Yadajimai can sense negative emotions, and so can I. I bet that if we focus hard enough, we will be able to feel the hunger of those creatures if it is evil enough. No offense, he answered. None taken. Those are not from the Twilight. She answered, smiling in gratitude. That way, as the Living Light show said, some kind of hunger condensed into a bug. I can smell the evil intentions from inside here. Yadajimai said from the seal. I felt it too, Naruto answered, watching as a big insect with a rock-made carapace came out from underground, snapping a pair of pincers in defiance. TCH, nasty thing, Midna said, watching the foxified blonde grab it with its mouth, slamming it down before stomping on it, freeing a small orb of light from its crushed body, the vessel of light shining in resonance, and capturing the small orb in one of its spherical containers. How many of those do we need? Naruto asked. Let me check, Midna answered, counting the beads on the vessel. 16. She then said, well, shit, Naruto muttered, dropping down his head in defeat. Come on, how hard can it be to track down some insects? We'll catch them in no time, Midna said with a laugh. Farron Woods, a week later. Where the fuck are those bug hidings? Midna screeched angrily. We found the 3 hiding in that Afro guy's hut, and few in the forest. We only need 6 more, Naruto said, trying to calm her down. Maybe the light spirit will help if we ask, Yadajimai proposed. Oh, hell no. I won't give to that bastard the satisfaction. Just focus on every bad intention you can sense. I don't care if it's a monster, a bokoblin, or the spirit of a salesman. We'll check them one by one, the young man answered with a growl. Their hunt continued until they found themselves in an ample clearing filled with a purplish mist, the smell of decaying matter making the air hard to breathe. Yuck. Poison? Naruto asked. It seems so. Need some help in choosing where to go? Midna offered, hovering near his head. If you don't mind, he answered. Then follow me if you can, furball. She said, flying on a high tree branch and waving at him playfully. She seems awfully happy, the 10-tailed vixen said with a chuckle. I guess that is not every day that someone defend her and the Twilight. The former shinobi answered. Yeah, then again, she doesn't know with who she is traveling with. You never cared about etiquette or rules when it comes to right or wrong and who you see as a friend. Yadajimai said. You know me well, he answered, using both agility and tree walking to chase the laughing imp through the trees. Without stopping a sprint, the blonde moved to caught another pair or darkness bugs in his mouth to kill them, almost puking at the terrible taste those things had. 2 down to go, Midna said, gracefully returning to sit on his back once he landed on the other side of the venomous cloud. Once again cursing under his breath and deeply missing having a human body, the blonde ex-shinobi moved deeper in the woods, reaching the giant tree where he had found Talo imprisoned. The same female monkey he saw that time perched on a wooden post while the remaining 4 bugs were circling around her hungrily. I hope Shino won't ever find this out. He'll still whine about me killing bugs no matter how evil, Naruto muttered, moving stealthy towards his remaining prey. It took just few minutes before the remaining bugs too went destroyed, making the vessel of light emit a feeble pulse of light to show its being complete. Someone help me? The monkey muttered, looking around surprised. Another thing Naruto learned was that apparently, since he turned into an animal himself, he could understand what the other animals were saying. A pity she can't thank me directly, the blonde said. She can't see us. In the Twilight realm we are now is like a different plane of existence. Humans and animals are literally asleep and can't tell how long they are staying as spirits. Some can be corrupted, but you will hardly see that happen. Midna explained. How long do you think it will take to the Twilight to cover everything? Naruto asked. I can't really answer. I can only say that the veil of Twilight is spreading at a snail pace. Whatever the so-called king is planning, it's not easy, so we are not exactly in a hurry. No matter how bad this may sound, normal people won't notice and the 4 guardians are weakened. They have all the time in the world. She answered. Sounds nasty, he said, shaking his head, but it's how things are at the moment. she said with a shrug. A little sigh returned the two's focus on the young monkey. Boy, lucky for me. Ever since the boss went funny in the head, there's been scary monsters everywhere. Those village kids got lead through the woods for some reasons. How convenient. She just told us where the kids are. Naruto said in sarcasm. A lot of luck we were here to listen to her talk loudly to herself about that. Mina said, the whole forest is so weird now. What's happened? The small monkey said, scratching her head while watching around herself in confusion. Bah! Whatever. Let's return the light to the spirit spring so you can take back your old face. The imp girl said, yeah, I can't wait. Naruto said, hurrying back towards the lamenting spirit. Spirit spring. A few minutes later, once returned, the blonde had tossed the vessel of light in the middle of the spring, making the twilight disperse in an instant as the forest returned to its original state. A loudly grumbling Midna had instantly took possession of Naruto's shadow to cover herself, looking at the young man with a bored expression. Ah, but it was so nice here in the twilight. What's so great about a world of light? Anyway, she asked with an annoyed expression, floating near her friend's head. Consider this. At least the light spirit will stop whining. Naruto answered, I guess you were right. Eehee. See you later. The girl answered with a laugh, melting in his shadow with a playful wave. After she was gone, once again the water of the spirit spring became pure light, making a miniature sun emerge from underwater. Around it, the huge body of a being similar to a squirrel with a very long tail and a humanoid face nursing the sphere of light lovingly. My name is Farron, the revived light guardian said. Ah, another case of lack of imagination. Yadajimai muttered with a grin. I am one of the spirits of light who dwell in Hyrule. I use the life force of the gods to protect this forest. The light said with a booming voice. And yet you needed my help. Naruto said, still angry at the spirit's early words about the twilight. The forces of evil knew how to surpass even my power, O brave youth. And yet, in the land covered in twilight, where people roam as spirits, you were transformed into a blue-eyed beast. That was a sign. A sign that the powers of the Chosen One rest within you, and that they are awakening. Look at your awakened form, the light said as its voice grew deafening and light covered Naruto's body of a fox. Once it dispersed, the young man could see that he was once again back into being human, still with his working clothes as a farmhand. Yeah? The light muttered with raised eyebrows. Yeah, I'm back into being human. That's great, Naruto said with a loud cheer. Where? Where is the green tunic? The light guardian asked with a very worried tone. A tunic? No, I was not wearing a pajama when I was transformed into a fox. The blonde answered, curious by the light's shocked expression. That's not a pajama. That's the garb once belonging to the ancient hero chosen by the gods. Where is it? The light yelled frantically. I don't have it with me. Why? Is that a problem? Naruto asked, confused. But, his power should be yours. The true power sleeping within you. The entity answered, its voice gaining in higher pitch at each word. Not to judge, but isn't it possible that you made a mistake? Maybe you took me for someone else. Naruto said, impossible. Your name is Link. The light answered, no, actually my name is Naruto Namikaze. Link was the name of the old man that took me in his home and told everyone I was his nephew. He died 6 months ago. I am sorry. Naruto answered, sniffing a little at the sad memory. Dead? The light guardian asked with a small, almost squeaky voice. Yeah, catching a cold at his old age had been fatal for his old body. There was nothing we could do. Well, I guess you missed him of several years. The blonde answered. A long silence fell in the spirit spring before the light guardian slowly opened its mouth wide. Aiaiawea. The entity yelled in horror with all the strength of its divine lungs. Maybe things can still be solved. Naruto tried saying, A-H. The light didn't seem to hear him as it continued its horrified scream of anguish. Oi, Aiaiawea, maybe you should stop. Your face is getting kinda red. Naruto tried saying in worry. Aiaiawea, do you think we broke him? Yadajimai asked. Aiaiawea, probably. Midna said with a worried tone. Aiaiawea, what do we do? Naruto asked. Aiaiawea, try to make him stop before its head explodes. Midna answered, a little concerned herself at watching the light break the 3rd minute of nonstop screaming. Aiaiawea, shut the fuck up! Naruto yelled, incredibly making the light fall silent. We are doomed. We are doomed. There is no hope left. All is lost. The Chosen One is already dead of old age, and there is no one that will stop the twilight from covering everything in its embrace of evil. The light sobbed pitifully. Oi, there are good people too in the twilight. Thank you. Naruto yelled, once again, surprising Midna. Stop telling lies. We are doomed. Hyrule's days are over, and we are all gonna die. Can you at least let me anguish in peace? The Light Guardian said with an angry sob. First off, you of the Light are a bunch of assholes. Just because they are not from here, it doesn't mean that everyone from Midna's world are evil. Second thing, can you read minds? Naruto asked. Yes, but I can't see how this will change the fact that we are all gonna die in horrible death at the hands of those dirty, twisted creatures of Twilight. Slap. The Light Guardian answered, gaining a right hook from Naruto at its words that made its head snap back from the force behind it. You have, Midna said with wide eyes. Quit the bitching and read my mind, bastard. You have a force to protect. The blonde snapped angrily. How dare you? Fine. Let's see your mind. What may have done a farmhand to be so sure of himself? And, oh my, wow. The light roared in indignation, before falling silent while looking through the young man's memories of his past as a shinobi. So, am I qualified enough to solve this mess? Naruto asked, crossing his arms with narrowed eyes. Okay, maybe. Maybe, mind you, we may have a chance here. You seem to have some experience in both fighting and saving the world. So even while not being the chosen one of our prophecy, your being the past one of another might be good enough to help us. The Light Guardian said, trying to recompose himself, but still sounding dubious. Good, I already have a certain idea of what happened here. Any suggestions about how to tackle this thing? Naruto asked. Yes, a dark power rests in the temple deep within these woods. It is a forbidden power that long ago I and the other spirits of light locked away. Because of its nature, it is a power that should never be touched by any who dwell in the light. But this time of crisis leave us with no other choice. You must match the power of the King of Shadows. The light said, somehow returning to its previous fierce appearances. I'll see what I can do. At least those bastards won't have an easy life. I assure you that. The blonde answered, watching the Light Guardian once again deflate slightly. The power you seek is in the temple in the forest depths. Please tell me you can help us. Anything you want in exchange is yours. Just save us. The Light said with a plea. The price of my services I will give you fully later. For now, I just need a good weapon. Naruto answered, taking a thinking pose. Well, there is the master. The Light started saying before being cut off. HHA, I know what I need. Can you take here the sword Samahata? It can absorb chakra, which is akin to life force, so it may be good enough to kill those monsters. Naruto said, and it looks badass. Yadajimai said, and it looks badass, yeah. Naruto admitted with a little blush. Samahata? What a strange name. Let me see. That's such a dark weapon. I can feel its hunger growl like a bottomless pit. The Light said in disgust. Yep, that's her, don't worry. I have more than what she can swallow. Naruto answered. Do you know how dirty that sounded? Midna asked. I know, and I don't care. The blonde answered. Just because we are in deep troubles. The Light Guardian muttered, summoning in front of the former shinobi the living sword. Do you remember me, Samahata-chan? Naruto asked, grabbing the hilt, hissing in pain as thorns appeared on the handle. Instead of bitching, try to have a taste, he said, watching the defense disappear and feeling the sword starting absorbing. Giving a feral smile, the blonde started pumping chakra inside Samahata by force, almost feeling the blade strain to absorb the energy. Barely a minute later, Samahata stopped, apparently satisfied. BURP. A long, baritone burp echoed in the forest, shocking the trees. I guess she accepted. Midna muttered, watching the blonde strapping the blade on his back. I hope we are making the right choice. Warrior Namikaze. The light will protect you during your journey. May the gods guide your steps. The light said before disappearing. If you are not the chosen hero, how come you turned into a beast? Midna asked, coming out of his shadow to move face to face with him. I guess the seal that holds Yadajimai inside me reacted with the twilight powers. Instead of turning me into a spirit, it changed me into a 10-tailed fox. Naruto answered, unsure. Oh well, not our problem, hee. So, what will we do? Do you want to head to that temple? I was going to head there myself. Kind of convenient, don't you think? She asked. I want to help my friends, so maybe I should try to take a look there as well. The blonde answered. At least they won't get scared at seeing a huge fox talking to them. Midna said with a smirk. Yeah, and now I'll need to change my clothes into something more resilient, since I am apparently the one that will be tasked with saving the world. Again, Naruto said with a sigh. You sure? It would be nice to see a farmhand save the world. Midna said from the blonde shadow. Since I have to be a hero once again, I will do that in my way. Please don't look, I need to change. He answered. Why? You have nothing more than any other man I saw. She replied. Please? He asked again with a pleading look. Oh, fine. She answered, giving the boy her back like he asked. Thank you. Naruto said with a grateful nod. TCH, what do you ever had to hide, I say? Midna muttered in disdain, hearing the young man splash himself with water with a pleasured sigh. Curiosity having the better of her, she discreetly looked above her shoulder to see what all the secrecy was about, making her heart skip a beat at what she saw. She had seen muscled men, but almost every one of them seemed to have favorited an aspect of their bodies, meaning that they were either mountain of muscles for strength alone or more athletically skinny to have more speed and agility, but with less mass on their bodies. The blonde instead, he seemed to stand in the middle of the two worlds, a body of an athlete but with more defined muscles coming from the hard work in the farm. Whatever a shinobi was, their training was apparently one where conditioning was the most important thing, since the body she was watching seemed in human replica of the one of a statue. Every muscle had been trained to have top performances in stamina, power, and speed at the same time, apparently. Splash! A new handful of water was thrown against that monument to human hotness, making the small imp girls, I follow each drop as it ran through valleys of muscles, along his broad shoulders down to his chiseled abs and hips, and then down to his. That was what caught Midna's ultimate interest then, as her sight zeroed in with a bad case of tunnel vision towards the big hidden prize she was not expecting, her transfixed, unblinking eye focusing on every millimeter of what she was watching, carefully and meticulously burning to memory every single detail as water kept running over its impressive size. What was her name again? She was so focused on comparing measures that her brain could no longer waste resources in trivial things like remembering her name, blinking, or breathing, but she remembered clearly that the average Hylian man was around the 3 inches, rarely 4, and only when talking about well-endowed. In terms of interesting qualities, while the blonde definitely surpassed that size, so her theory about him being a stranger gained some form of truth. So it's true what they say about non-Hylian men. Midna muttered with a feral smirk. I'm almost done. Sorry, I needed to get clean a little. The blonde said with an apologetic tone, never noticing that by bending down to get his pants, he also gave new info to his little companion. TCH, take your time. At least you won't smell. Midna answered, feigning at the best of her abilities an annoyed tone. Pretty toned ass as well, nice. She muttered. Mama Midna liked what she was seeing, and usually what Mama Midna liked, Mama Midna got. Done. I am all ready now. The blonde said with a smirk, feeling a certain degree of pleasure in wearing back his black and orange jumpsuit and the red cloak over it with the black flames at the bottom. He even secured a huge scroll similar to the one of the Toad summoning contract to his back, just like he did when he fought against Pain. Nice outfit, Midna commented, returning inside his shadow to plot a certain side mission of her own. Yeah, in the end, it's nice to be back, he answered cheerfully. Moving back towards the woods, the blond young man found himself in front of a closed gate on the road towards the depths of the forest. As a fox I jumped over, I can do that now as well, he said with a shrug. Blow it to pieces, let's show to Midnabaka what you can do, Yadajimai said, sighing at being once again a huge vixen instead of human. What was that? Midna asked, curious. I saw you spy on him. He is mine, the Biju hissed, hiding her conversation from Naruto's ears. Who says I'm interested? The imp answered with a chuckle. The fact that you were panting while watching him. She answered with narrowed eyes. I don't pant, thank you. Besides, he's a young man. Sooner or later he'll need release, and when he is human you are a fox. So he will need help. I might even be so generous as to help him until he has had enough. Midna answered. TSH, with that small body? I can even see that you are a frigid wooden coward. probably getting scandalized if someone says penis. Yadajimai answered, I'm not Zelda. Thank you. Midna said with narrowed eyes. Back in Hyrule Castle, an unladylike sneeze rattled the windows. I am his mate, the vixen said, just because he is stuck with you. Midna answered, highly amused by the other woman's anger. You don't even want him. Why you do this? Yadajimai asked with a snarl. Because teasing you is getting always more fun. Don't worry, you precious mate is safe. The small girl said with a wave of her hand, a mischievous smile on her face. At least I have him. You smell of cowardice. Someone like you is not worth my time or respect. Be happy to be alone, because I pity whoever will be so unlucky to be forced to stay with you. The ten-tailed fox said with a sneer. Cowardice? Midna asked. I watched you, and I will keep an eye on you until this forced partnership with us is over. Like that you won't betray us as well. She answered. Before the other could say a thing, the blonde's voice managed to interrupt their discussion. Girls! Naruto yelled, startling both. Yes? Midna asked. I don't know what you were talking about, but please alert me before cutting me off. I was getting worried. He asked. Worried? The small girl said. Yeah. You both disappeared without notice, and I feared that somehow I had lost both. Naruto said. I can defend myself. Midna said. Yeah, but I still want to be sure you are safe. We're friends, and I won't leave you behind. He answered. Oh, thank you. She said, surprised. Nothing now. Watch and be amazed. Rasengan, Naruto yelled, summoning in his hand the spiraling sphere of chakra he then used to blow the wooden gate to bits. Okay, I am amazed. Midna admitted with a small nod. See? I told you I could do more as a human than as a fox. Let's go. He answered, running deeper in the forest towards the temple hidden there, not too far away from the demolished gate. A young man with an afro hairstyle was looking at the scene of destruction and back at the key of the gate in his hand. Dropping his head with a sigh, he threw away the key, cursing the missing of a new occasion to sell a lantern and oil and gain a new customer. Running through the short cave towards the still gas-covered forest, Naruto spun on himself to grab whatever was chasing him, moving in front of his face the same female monkey he saw earlier. What do you want? He asked. Hua. The animal said, pointing back. No, I don't need a lantern. I have my ways to see in the dark. Why? The blonde said. He can speak to monkeys, even as a human? Midna asked. Nah, that thing is just telegraphing what she want. Yadajimai answered. Hua. The monkey said, twisting itself free from his, and then pointing frantically at the purple gas filling the forest floor. Yeah, it's deadly, so what? Naruto asked, making the monkey go red-faced in rage. Wapea. Hua. The animal howled, jumping on the spot in annoyance. TCH. If you want to pass through, just tree jump. It's not like I can't do that myself. As a human, I can do this for way much longer, since I know how to do it properly. The blonde answered, jumping on a tree and walking vertically on its bark until he stood upside down on a high branch. So, you're not coming? He asked. Oh. The monkey screeched with her mouth open wide in shock. Whatever. I'll go ahead. Catch up when you decide what to do, Naruto said, jumping between trees and leaving behind a bewildered monkey wondering how much humans changed since she last saw some. How many chances do you think there were that the very same tree I found Talo would have turned out to be the one where I needed to go? Naruto asked. Very few, especially since that place was supposed to be sealed off and the guardians responsible for the sealing had their powers sucked off and stolen. I bet that the supposed power holding it closed also failed pretty easily. The ten-tailed Bijou answered. Why do you defend me, by the way? Midna asked. I told you why. We're friends, and I'll be damned if I don't help and protect my friends. Naruto answered. We barely know each other. It's pretty soon to say if we are friends or not. She said. Oh, I'm sorry then. He answered with a sad tone and a downcast expression. Let's focus on this now. We'll talk a little after saving the kids. Then we'll decide if we are friends or just two people sharing a mission. MK? Midna said cheerfully. Yeah, he muttered. Don't mind her. You have plenty of friends. Melia, Ruzzle, the people of Orden, and the kids we're going to save. Let her be alone if she wants to. Yadajimai said. Thanks, Gimi-chan. I needed that. The blonde answered with a smile. See? That's better. Let's find those brats and save this place. Me and you. Just like old times when we showed everyone how badass we are. The vixen said in determination. All right. He answered, fire burning in his eyes. Oi? Midna said, looking at them curiously. No one cares, thank you. Yadajimai said with narrowed eyes. There is a shining wolf coming this way. I thought you would have liked to know. Midna answered, her amused smile strained. How did that thing manage to sneak up on me? It's emitting light on its own. Naruto said in surprise. That's because both of you were spacing out? The imp girl said with a short, empty laugh, feeling alone all of a sudden. The strange animal had in that moment stopped barely few feet from the shinobi, looking in his cerulean eyes with its own red, both its eyes and fur shining in an ethereal light. Taking a combat stance, it growled at Naruto. What do you want? The blonde asked. In answer, the wolf pounced on him, covering his view in a blinding white light. Inside the Biju seal, an instant later, the wolf was looking around with a surprised expression, expecting to see the smoky white land of the spiritual world welcome both him and the boy he thought was the chosen one. What he found himself in was instead the old sewer system the Jubi Vixen had been sealed into, even if lacking the knee-high water or the stench of decay that once was in there. Hearing a loud, deep growling sound, the wolf looked up, finding its eyes growing wide and its jaw hitting the floor as the massively huge Yadajimai, having reached the same size of the old Jubi after the absorption, was looking all the way down to the beast with a deep sneer and narrowed eyes. Her tin tail spread behind her to add to the imposing image. What the fuck do you want? What are you doing in my mate's head? She demanded with a booming voice, coming pretty close at actually releasing a brick from its backside. The wolf moved its mouth open and closed few times as to find the correct words. The chosen one? The spiritual animal asked weakly. Dead of old age. You people missed him of several years. We're filling in for him. Naruto answered, walking towards the two and jumping to sit on the vixen huge head. What? The wolf yelled in horror. Yup, apparently the bad guys attacked later than what you all anticipated. Can I help you? The blonde asked. This can't be happening. I wanted to impart my knowledge to the chosen one and help him achieve more power to fight the evil that plagued this land. Like that I would have been able to pass on and free myself from the guilt that is waiting on my soul. The creature answered with a tone bordering on the whining, switching its appearances to a skeleton wearing an old armor. Too late then, he's already dead. Yadajimai said with a shrug. Can I teach it to you then, young man? At least I will console myself with the notion that I would have helped a new hero in his quest. The spirit asked, sounding hopeful. I have been already trained to be a shinobi, but some pointers for how to use a sword would be great. At least I won't just wave Samahata around like an idiot. Naruto answered. Wonderful. Whenever you want my help, just look for the statues that howl with the sound of the wind. Seek the sound that calls to the spirit of the beast too. The dead warrior started saying before a laughing fit of Naruto stopped him. No. It doesn't work like this with me. I am tired of this. Show your willingness to learn before getting some miserable pointers. You want to help? Tell Yadajimai what you want me to know. She will write down everything for me to study later. The blonde said, shaking his head. What? That is not how things are done. You must seek with humility the will to learn, and the spirit tried saying before being interrupted again. Humility? Bitch, please. We are not the ones that fucked up and wish to amend to our mistake by teaching some technique. You want to pass on? Good. Do things our way, and everything will be fine. Both me and Naruto are professional warriors and already are trained. At the very least, you would be polishing some details. Do not act so high, and might just because you know how to swing a blade. Yadajimai said, How dare you? Yuval beast don't know how. Baijidama. The vixen yelled, shooting a colossal sphere of energy that flew at an inch of the warrior, causing a loud explosion that shocked the whole area. This time a brick did fall from the spirit backside. I didn't need the headache, Gimi-chan, Naruto said with a whine. Sorry. It will pass in an instant. The Biju said with a gentle smile. Okay, maybe you already know how to fight. The dead warrior admitted with a whisper. So? Those wonderful techniques? I won't be pushed down a fucking ravine just to prove that I want to learn something. Naruto said, making the spirit grumble in annoyance. Okay, what kind of teacher would push a student down a ravine to test him? I wonder. The entity muttered as it started talking. It was anticlimactic, but at least like that he would still have his redemption to rest in peace. After beating, whatever idiot missed the fact that the chosen one was about to die of old age before telling him. But while in the seal time flowed slower, making possible to the dead warrior to teach what he knew to Naruto, to the outside world in that apparent instant it took for the meeting to take place. A new problem had just reached the coasts of Hyrule. See, not far away from Hylian territory, a lone man was looking at the land as the small ship he had boarded in secret drew closer. It had took him almost a year to track down his target and learn enough Hylian to ask around for him. But he was Jiraiya of the Sannin, and he was not one to be scared by some difficulties. "So we have an accord?" the spy master said. Aye. No one of the elemental countries will know you came here. My men don't even know we had an extra helper on board. That trick of yours to look like me was kinda cool. Can you teach me?" The young man answered. "Sorry, boy. I only have one student, and he's somewhere in Hyrule, and I need to talk to him." Jiraiya answered. "Then I guess I'll have to tell the captain about the clandestine we have on board." The other said with a superior smirk. "TCH, idiot," the Toad Sage said, slapping a seal on the back of the young man's neck, activating it to erase the whole 3 weeks of time from his mind, effectively erasing every trace of Jiraiya on the ship. "I'm not where I am just because I'm pretty brat. I prepared the seal just for this reason. In a few hours you will wake up with a splitting headache and no memory of ever meeting me. And since you won't remember me, I'll take back my money too," the Toad Sage said with a smirk, rummaging in the young man's pockets to take back his money he used to buy the trip to Hyrule. "I'm coming, Naruto. We need to talk a little. Just me and you. 2 men facing each other, no Konoha or Hokage interfering. But I need to know why you did not return home," the old man said, hopping down the ship to water walk for the remaining distance and enter the land of Hyrule with as much a low profile as his abilities as a spy could provide. It had took him a lot of time to secretly find the blonde and hide every possible trace to the other spies that had been deployed to find him. But Jiraiya needed to know why he had not returned, and in case he had been somehow coerced into staying or kidnapped, then taking him back by force. Even if a small part of Jiraiya wanted to bring Naruto back to Konoha, even if the blonde had chosen to stay there by his own will, even just to stop feeling guilty about the banishment, no matter how much selfish the Toad Sage himself admitted his mission to be, he would just drag the Gaki back to Konoha screaming and kicking if forced, just to have him back in what he felt was his rightful home. The problems for Naruto had just increased. As his new mission against the King of Twilight moved on, part of his past had just reached him to forcefully take him back against his will. Feeling a small chill run up his spine, the blonde just exited the seal on his body, stealing his resolve with the new knowledge about fighting with a sword and running up towards the entrance of the temple to save the kids. Still oblivious of the new menace, looking at the horizon, wearing a Konoha forehead protector. 3 women stood silently around a large altar, holding a small cup. As one of them took the small container and poured its content on the floor, the other 2 slowly chanted in an unrecognizable musical language, making the small puddle grow in dimensions until it became wide enough to cover the whole floor of the room they were in before showing what was happening in the human realm. The 3 were the golden goddesses of Hyrule and the ones that created the whole realm with their powers. Each one was emanating an aura of power, transcending every form of comprehension and mirroring their own personality. They were watching through the large pool of water how Hyrule was still covered in darkness from the doing of the mysterious king of the Twilight with a sad expression. But when 2 spirit springs managed to recover their light and banish the vile darkness, a small smile of hope surfaced on the goddess's face. The hero of time has finally recovered his human form. His powers are awakening, said Faror, goddess of the courage and the one that gave life to every living being of the world, her green aura gaining further light as the big fox returned into being a human. "What?" Faror yelled with wide eyes, making the image zoom closer with an imperious gesture of her hand. "Ooh! Hello there, handsome," said Din with a purring voice. She was the goddess of power and the one to create the earth itself with her own power, her fiery red aura flashing brightly while mirroring her interest. "Easy, Din. Now is not time to dwell in carnal desire. We have more pressing matters to worry about," Naru said with a scolding tone. "But he's so awesome. Look, he doesn't even have my mark, but he exudes so much power. His own soul is shining in it. He holds a great power sealed inside him, but I can feel how this is under his own control," the goddess answered with a whine. "What about Ganondorf?" the goddess of wisdom asked while crossing her arms. "Ganon who?" The other asked back with a dumbfounded expression. The one you said was worth of your mark? The Gerudo male. The one with the stupid hog-like expression whenever he thinks too hard. Naru said, "Oh, the one that smells of pigs. Meh, I'm kinda over him already. This young man here seems more promising." Din answered with a shrug, unknown even to them. From the deepest recess of Twilight realm, Ganondorf had the strangest pang of betrayal crossing his evil, dead, rotten heart. That, and the even more strange instinct of smelling his armpits, and by a new deodorant. Back to the goddesses. "He's dead. My champion is dead of old age, and no one notified me." Farer screeched in horror. "Calm down. We'll fire the intern that missed telling you." Look, it seems that the young man, Naruto, I think was his name, said he has experience in battling to save the world. Let's check a little ourselves, okay? Naru said in a placating tone. "How can you ask me to calm down? We are doomed. There is no hope left, and you talk about firing interns while Din here is drooling over a mortal." The goddess of courage said in indignation. He punched the light guardian for bad-mouthing the world his little friend comes from. Punching a deity sounds like courage/foolishness if you ask me. Din said she was a little offended at the drooling thing though. "Okay, let's give this a try." Farer said, the three switching the image in the water with a fast-forward rendition of the blonde's life. "Yep, plenty of courage and damn if he showed power." Din said with an appreciative smile. "Yes, he had a slow start, but their brand of magic does seems interesting. I think we can trust him with our mission." Naru said with a nod. Okay. Maybe we can do this. Let's see if he can really pull this off." Farer said with a sigh as the image returned on the present. "Are we really peeking on a human? This is technically a breach in his privacy." Naru said, "It's his fault if he is changing clothes in the open like that. One thing is courage, another is completely lacking shame." Farer said scandalized. "Arf, Din, put your tongue back in your mouth. You will be free to sexually harass our hero once the actual crisis is resolved." The goddess of wisdom said in annoyance. "Why not? Just a little? 5 minutes. A little handjob at least?" Din said with her best kick-dog expression. "You are a goddess. Show some manners. You can't go around harassing humans." Farer said with an angry tone. "You say this just because he is not wearing your silly pajama. He is right. That tunic really looks like something one would wear to sleep." Din said with a vindictive grin. "What? That tunic is what a real hero should wear, not those ugly clothes the young man is wearing now. Look at how dignified the original hero looks in them." Farer answered with a growl, making a young man with blonde hair and pointy ears appear in the room. "Ah!" The young man muttered in confusion at being summoned before the three goddesses. "Sorry, Master Link, but unfortunately my two sisters are having a discussion, and you had been just dragged in." Naru said with an apologetic tone. "Tell us the truth. As the one whose spirit was the first to bear the mark of courage symbolizing your being a link to me, is your tunic a sign of your heroic spirit or not?" Farer asked. Her answer was a tentative nod from the blonde man. "See? He is with me. We should convince young Naruto to switch to MY style. He must wear the sacred tunic if you want to be our champion." The goddess said with a smug smile. Just because Miss But Hurt needs to admit defeat every once in a while to stop her ego from growing so big to eclipse the whole creation. Are you willing to try what our current hero is wearing? I know it sounds kind of stupid as a request, but if we don't resolve this, Farer won't stop pestering us." Din asked. "Hey!" The other woman yelled in anger. Link answered with a shrug. "To be perfectly honest, I am finding Mr. Naruto's ability to speak proper sentences more interesting at the moment." Naru muttered, surprised at seeing Link giving her the middle finger with narrowed eyes. "He is mute since birth. Thing that translated in his other reincarnations, I fear." Farer answered. She and Naru were watching with calculating eyes as Din transformed Link's clothes into a copy of the black and orange jumpsuit plus red cloak with black flames Naruto was wearing back on Earth. He even had a similar huge scroll on his back. "So? It's making you uncomfortable, isn't it? Better the tunic, am I right?" Farer asked expectantly. "UUH. AH." Link seemed to think a little in discomfort before a little breeze courtesy of Din made the cloak billow in a rather dramatic fashion, catching the blonde man's interest. "No way." The goddess of courage yelled as her hero started taking different badass poses and marveling at the effect the cloak and scroll gave him. "I guess he prefers the new style." Din said with a smug smile. Oh, Link said with a happy nod, still trying various poses in a mock fight to see how cool he looked. Just go away, traitor, Farer said with a whine, watching Link go away with his new clothes. Okay, now that we satisfied you two in your fashion sense, can we focus on the matter at hand? Naru asked with a tired sigh. Okay. My only consolation is that everyone else here won't like those clothes. Farer said. OH Link, you look so cool. Those clothes look way more awesome than the old ones. Several voices could be heard coming from every corner of heaven. Goddess Immune PF. The goddess of courage was about to curse when Neru's hands covered her mouth. Self-blaspheming is not what we need at the moment. The goddess of wisdom said with narrowed eyes and a stern tone. Grr, at least things can't get any worse, Farer said with a low growl. Meanwhile, in a different realm, New Hyrule, a young kid was about to launch himself into a sacred adventure with the help of Princess Zelda's spirit when a female voice breached the sky. Link, the voice called. Who are you? The young boy asked, looking around with wide eyes. Link, I can give you further power to defeat the evil that is growing strong in your world. I am the goddess of power, and I want to give you my blessing. Do you accept? The voice asked. What should I do? The young Link asked. We need all the help we can get. We have no choice but trust this mysterious being. The spirit of Zelda said with a worried voice. I accept. The young boy said. Then, wear the garment of the hero of power and defeat the evil. The voice said as a chibi version of the jumpsuit, and the red cloak floated in front of Link. Cool. The guard's robe looked like a pajama in comparison. The boy said with a starry-eyed expression. I wouldn't have called it a pajama, but I admit that those clothes seems more, I don't know, awe-inspiring. Zelda said with a nod. Thank you, young Link. Thanks to you, the legend of the hero of power will be remembered forever. The voice said before disappearing. Back to the golden goddesses. Done. Now I need to do this in the past as well, and then we will see who will be defined cooler. Your hero of time/wind, or my hero of power. Want to bet who will win? Din said with a cheerful smile. Fuck you, Din. Farer yelled in rage. And you two are supposed to be ageless goddesses like me. Unbelievable. Naru muttered sadly. With Naruto and Midna. Hyrule, depths of the forest. Whoa. Naruto said, stopping at the entrance of the forest temple. What happened? Midna asked, noticing how his expression changed abruptly. I don't know. I feel strange. Proud maybe? I have the strange feeling that somewhere someone is praising me. The young man said with a confused tone. Ignore the imp bitch, she's just wasting our time. Yadajimai said with a snarl. Oi. Hey, listen, is your offer of friendship real? What do you gain from me accepting? The small girl asked while surfacing from his shadow to look at him in the eyes. A friend, and you get one too. Something tells me that you don't have a lot of them back home. Naruto answered. That's it? Midna said in surprise. Well, yeah, I saw that you're hiding something big that you don't want to talk about, and whatever it is seems important, so I want to help you. I like to be useful and can't stand to see people being in a difficult situation without any help. The blonde answered. It got us in more trouble than you can imagine. Tezuno was one of the people he had been adamant in helping, and the whole thing literally went to hell and back before we managed to barely make it out alive. The ten-tailed vixen said with a sigh. But we did, and I never regretted a single instant of it. I had a difficult life and very few people helping me, so I decided that no one else would have to be left behind if I could help it. Naruto answered. Oh. Well, I guess we can give this thing a try then, but don't expect me to be all buddy-buddy with you just yet, pretty boy. I am a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. Midna answered with her usual cheerful tone. Her laugh this time sounding relieved instead of forced. Happy to hear that, Midna-chan. Come on, let's go. Naruto said as he sprinted forward. Jeez. Give me a minute to re-enter your shadow, you dummy. The small girl said as she rapidly moved to follow him. Inside the forest temple, the place was massive and apparently carved out of the rocks where the huge tree grew on. The enormous room that welcomed the blonde smelled of dust and was completely silent, signaling that it had been a long time since someone last entered there. As I said, the seal was non-existent, and the only malevolent emotions I am feeling are not human. You're the first man to enter here since decades, if not more. Yadajimai said from the seal. Look out for those plants. Midna said. What plants? Naruto asked as from underground erupted purple flowers with fanged mouths snapping threateningly at the shinobi. Ugh! Disgusting. Mind some salad, Samahata? He said to the sword, gaining a grumbling noise as an answer. Grill! A near bokoblin muttered while licking his club with hungry eyes. How do you plan to cut both down? Your sword doesn't look too sharp. Midna asked curious. TCH. Miscreant. My massive blade Samahata doesn't slice, it shreds to ribbons. Naruto answered while removing part of the bandages of the sword to show a blade covered in thick blue scales. As if understanding the threat, both plants and bokoblin moved forward to attack. A fast, wide swing later the plants went shredded to pieces while the bokoblin was torn in half, splattering blood, organs and chunks of flesh everywhere in a shower of greenish blood. Ugh! Messy, the imp girl said with gagging voice. Speak for yourself, I love it. The vixen answered with a pleased smile. The plus side is that I get healed every time I use it, since it absorbs the life energy of my enemies and transfers it to me. The young man answered, calmly returning the sword on his back. Oh? A monkey said from its cage, shivering slightly from watching the gruesome scene. Oi! Aren't you that monkey that insisted on me taking a lantern? You've been captured again, geez. You're hopeless. Naruto said, chuckling at the animal's offended pout. Once freed the small monkey, he was rewarded by an angry animal pointing at him with an accusing finger before the same finger pointed at the lantern in the monkey's hand and then at the huge web covering the door at the other side of the room. What? I should use a lantern to take off a simple spider web? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. The animal said while crossing her arms. There was one that blocked the entrance. I just tore it off with a kunai. Naruto said while pointing at the entrance with his thumb. The monkey said with a surprised expression. I can also do this. Ketan, Linden. The blonde said with a small chain of hand seals before spitting a brief stream of fire that burned down the web. You could do magic as well? Midna asked with a surprised tone. Those ANBU kept teaching him techniques to try and win our allegiance to their village. We just learned all we could before leaving. The ten-tailed fox answered with a shrug. So? You're not coming? The blonde asked while forcing the circular door open. The monkey looked at the lantern before throwing it away and throwing her arms up with an expression literally, saying, you know what? Fuck this, I don't care. You shouldn't get angry. It's bad for your health. Naruto said, snorting at the middle finger he got in answer. The following room was a wide, squared area with a raised platform and its middle acting as connection to the other 3 doors on the remaining sides. But whatever bridges that connected the platform to the various doors had already been destroyed by the passing of time, as testified by the few rotten planks still scattered around. It's not so bad. If you dust a little and use fresh paint, the place would look like new. My old apartment in Konoha was in worse shape. Naruto commented. Ooh. The small monkey said while pointing at one of the doors. Yeah. The blonde said, I guess she wants us to follow her. Yadajimai said, may as well. The shinobi said, yelping in surprise when he felt a spike of malicious intent directed at him and jumping to the side barely in time to evade the attack of a spider almost twice his own sizes. That is one huge insect. The blonde muttered, watching the spider click its drooling pincers at him in hunger. Oh. It has a skull-like mark on its back. Fascinating. The vixen muttered. I don't think that now is the moment to play entomologist. Midna commented, the 2 women watching as the shinobi dodged to the side. Disgusting, Naruto said while grabbing 2 legs of the monstrous creature to launch it up in the air. Rasengan, he then yelled, thrusting the spiraling sphere in the spider's belly, making it explode. Yuck. Note to self, Rasengan on spiders is overkill. Better use Samahata. The guts-covered shinobi muttered with a frown. Osh. The small monkey said while pointing to a chest. Once open, she collected a piece of paper and gave it to Naruto. A detailed map of the temple, closed in a chest without a lock. Right at the entrance of the temple itself, where everyone can find it. Isn't that too convenient? The blonde asked. Meh. Maybe they feared the new members to get lost or whatever. Don't think about it, and let's just go on. If we stop every time something doesn't make sense, we will never finish this mission. Yadajimai answered with a shrug. Once they passed the new door, the human and the monkey found themselves outside, watching as a long bridge connected the rocks to the base of a smaller tree. Apparently happy about what she saw, the monkey ran forward, But halfway through the bridge, a wide-furred baboon came out of the opposite door. Sneering in disdain at the other animal, it raised the strangely shaped boomerang in its hands, covering it in a black aura before throwing it. From the small weapon, a huge gust of wind generated, clearly curling in half the long bridge and forcing the monkey to rapidly retreat to not fall in the abyss under it. "Okay, look," the baboon said in satisfaction as it retrieved the boomerang. Turning his back on Naruto, it spanked it, but with a challenging smile on its face before retreating back inside the huge tree, missing completely the narrowing eyes of the shinobi. "You okay down there?" the blonde asked while helping the small monkey to climb up from barely grabbing the edge of the bridge instead of falling down. "You," the animal muttered in clear sadness. "Want to have some revenge?" Naruto asked with a feral smirk. "Ah?" The monkey nodded in doubt. "Then watch this Kagebushin no Jutsu. Shadow clone technique," he said while moving his fingers in a cross-hand seal, summoning a dozen of clones of himself. "You know, thanks to me, he can summon several thousands of those. We never try to see how many he can summon since I absorbed the 10-tailed beast, but with all the chakra I posse's now, I think that we may be able to reach 1,000,000, just to say," Yadajimai said in smug pride. "Unbelievable," Midna muttered, while the majority of the clones jumped in the void, grabbing the legs of the one in front of them to create a temporary bridge. Two of them stood at the sides of the original, the real blonde grabbing his right hand to concentrate energy on it, the second clone keeping both hands over his, while the third moved his hands back and forth with a rapid tempo, forming a sphere of energy that was slowly growing in sizes. "What are you doing?" Midna asked while momentarily coming out of Naruto's shadow. "The bastard likes to play with wind? I will show him what a real storm is. I am a wind element myself, and this is my little joy, my favorite jutsu." "Raisin Shuriken," the blonde answered, lifting his hand where now a big sphere of energy with 4 wings was rapidly spinning, the deafening roar of a storm coming out from it while the excessive wind was battling everything in its surroundings. "And you want to slam it against that tree?" Midna yelled over the roar of the technique. "Nah, I'ma boomerang it," he simply answered, throwing the giant wind-made shuriken with a lazy gesture. Inside the tree, at the moment, okay, the baboon was happy. The dirty human won't be able to reach him, just like the strange helmet he was wearing asked him to do. Ever since that strange thing landed on his head, OK had felt incredible. He could feel power radiate from the small thing through his whole body. He was the greatest, the strongest of the forest. And as long as he kept following the helmet's orders, he knew he will remain so. The strange stick he had also found was incredible. Now OK could control winds. No one was stronger than OK. In 01, Kritakabom, it was an instant, but in a blinding light followed by the strongest gust of wind the baboon had ever felt, an entire side of the chamber seemingly evaporated, leaving a huge hole in place of the entire wall. Once the dust settled, OK found himself looking at the heavily damaged ceiling from under the smoking remains of a pillar. A small part of his mind that was not screaming about the agonizing pain washing over him was idly marveling at the fact that the whole structure was still standing after the world-shattering explosion instead of collapsing on itself. The small insect that was on his head in the meantime had already been destroyed, freeing the baboon of its influence. "Who's laughing now?" Naruto asked as his azure-eyed glare filled the baboon's vision. OK, the baboon remembered what he did to the human, and with a whimper, he soiled himself several times in a row. OK muttered while presenting the boomerang with a clearly nervous smile. "Something tells me that he is trying to give you that as a peace offering," Yadajimai said. "OK, I'll admit it. That was awesome. Never seen a spell like that before." Midna added, sounding surprisingly awed and respectful. "Thanks, I'll take it, but if I find out that you become a bully again, I won't hold back like I did this time," Naruto said while snatching the boomerang from the baboon's hands. OK answered with a furious nod that almost left behind after images of his head. "Oh, fierce hero," a voice said from the boomerang. "Whoa," Naruto said in surprise. "I am the fairy of winds who resides in this boomerang. You have freed me from evil, and I now have my true power back. Please." "Oh, goddesses," the weapon said before letting out a moan. "What?" Yadajimai said with wide eyes. "Ooh. Oh, your soul is so attuned with the winds and nature as a whole. I feel like losing myself in the maelstrom of your spirit." Please take me, M. Take my power with you. Use it to aid your quest. And may both my power and my blessing go with you. Focus your pen, your power inside me, I mean the boomerang, before releasing it to unleash the power of wind to aid you. You fucking stew. Okay. Thank you. The blonde said, cutting the fairy off by rapidly sealing the boomerang away. That fairy was harassing you. I can't believe this. You attract the most curious people, you know? Minna said with a chuckle. Yeah, that was strange. Could it be that the power the light spirit talked about is this boomerang? Naruto asked. I don't think so. The spirit talked about a dark power. That thing contains the spirit of a fairy. It's something too light-sided to be what we are looking for. The small girl answered while shaking her head. Then, what should we do now? The blonde asked. You. Ah. The small monkey said while tugging the leg of the blonde man's pants. What's wrong? He asked. Look. The small thing said while pointing back at the entrance. She wants us to follow her apparently. Maybe she will take us to this mysterious object we need. Yadajimai said. Better than nothing. Come on, show me the way, Monkey-chan. Naruto answered while following the small animal. Behind them, Oke chuckled nervously before fainting in elation at being left alive. He'd dig his way out of the ruins once he had calmed down enough. Back in the temple, once back in the wide room, the monkey jumped on one of the remaining ropes, holding the bridge before reaching another door, waving at the blonde to reach her. I wonder what she wants from us. The shinobi muttered while walking on the wall and towards her, laughing at how the animal shook her head at another show of skills she wasn't expecting, probably admitting defeat. She's just coming to accept the fact that you're different from the humans she is used to see. Midna said with a chuckle herself. Oh, wait, I almost forgot. The blonde said, throwing a kunai at the ceiling where several things had been kept glued there by a mass of spiderwebs, freeing among them a small chest. A clone later, a little compass was in Naruto's hand. And this? He asked while showing the object to Midna. Several spells in it. If it still works properly, it should be able to point us towards whatever we want to find. Just hold it while thinking about what you need. The small imp answered. So if I want to find a monkey? The blonde answered, watching as the small arrow of the compass moved to point at the monkey near him before moving towards the door in front of them. Oh, useful. It pointed there when I asked about monkeys. One of your friends? He asked to the animal, getting a nod in answer. Okay, let's see why you want us to meet this friend of yours. The shinobi answered with a shrug, opening the door to follow the monkey. The answer was running through corridors dug out of rock, then wood, and sometimes both incredibly, and passing over the fact that there were webs as thick as walls and probably big enough to catch an elephant. The whole place was rotten, not in a spiritual way, but literally falling apart from disuse, and with rooms where water was covering pretty much everything. And this was a temple? Naruto asked with a scrunched face as the smell of dust was making the air hard to breathe. God knows when was the last time people came here. What did you expect? The Jubi vixen said in disgust, as the area remembered her the old sewer the seal used to be. The door is locked. We will need to find a key. The blonde said once reached an heavily locked door covered in chains. Can't you just use that Rasengan spell? Midna asked. It's a jutsu, and it feels wrong to use it here somehow. He answered. Please? The imp asked with a surprisingly sweet tone. You like that technique, don't you? Yadajimai asked with a knowing smirk. I'm certain that I can replicate it, but I need to see it close few times to do that. The small girl answered. If you say so. Rasengan, Naruto said while summoning the spiraling sphere in his hand. Hold on, Midna asked, coming out of his shadow to look closer at the jutsu with a calculating gaze. Can I? Go ahead, I'm starting to get the idea behind it, but I want to do this myself. She answered with a nod before disappearing. With a thunderous explosion, the chains, door, and part of the wall exploded outward, leaving a perfectly round hole in the wall, showing a pair of shocked bokoblin mounting guard to a caged monkey. Piss off or fight. I have no time to waste, Naruto said with a grin. Grah. Eh? One of the two said threateningly while looking at the side for its fellow bokoblin, only to see the other's back as it rapidly ran away, turning into a tiny dot in the horizon in mere seconds. Believe it or not, he was the smart one. The blonde answered while cracking his knuckles. 30 seconds later, the battered creature was fleeing the area in pain, while the new monkey was free and jumping around Naruto in joy. So you want me to free your friends? He asked. Oh. Both monkeys said with a nod. May as well. In the meantime, we'll look for the object of power the light spirit talked about. Midna said with a shrug. The various monkeys that had been scattered practically all over the temple had been fairly easy to find, especially with the strange compass and the map of the building. The little horde of animals following them had at least made things a little bit more entertaining, since they kept a party-like feeling going on while walking, happy to be all together once again. You miss your friends? Midna finally asked after the blonde's new sigh. Yeah, I just hope they're okay. Naruto answered. Ruzzle would die to protect the village and never failed. The mayor, too, even if quite the dumb, has his heart in the right place. If the kids pay attention, they will be fine. We have to think about them being safe. If we despair, we will lose even before starting. Yadajimai answered. Once done here, we can go back to check on your village before continuing. The imp girl said, Don't worry. I'll be okay. He answered as the last monkey finally got free from its cage. Bridges that move with the wind. That's highly impractical if you ask me. Especially inside where wind does not blow. The vixen said with a sigh. They probably used the boomerang for that. I still prefer a small wind bullet jutsu. It's faster that way. Naruto answered. Good thing King Kuru taught you those jutsu then. The Biju answered. Okay. Oka. The various monkeys yelled in happiness, clapping their hands at the blonde. The monkeys should be satisfied now. We just need to continue comb this place for places where we didn't look. Any idea? Midna asked. There's that huge chamber where the floor had given in. We could try to see what it's hidden behind the door on the other side. Naruto offered. The one with the huge-ass lock? I could feel the thickest amount of malevolence coming from there. Whatever lies behind that door is both big and angry. Yadajimai said, It's still a place we haven't checked before, and after all those spiders, bokoblins and carnivorous plants, I'm not about to be scared by some big mean thing behind a locked door. Naruto answered, That's the spirit. Tell to those smelly monkeys to show us the way. The vixen said with a triumphant smile. A short run later, and the human plus monkeys group arrived in a huge room, scarcely illuminated and with the whole side occupied by the roots of one of the trees above. The group of monkeys looked at each other for an instant before climbing the plant up to the middle of the ceiling. With a determined okay. One of them hung upside down from the root while prompting the others to follow, slowly forming a long chain that then started swinging towards the shinobi, signaling him to grab the last one. I guess they copied your idea with the clones. Midna said with a chuckle. I can just walk on the walls. There's no need for that. The blonde commented. It's their way to thank you for saving them. Just accept their help. Yadajimai said. Okay. He said while jumping, holding the hands of the animal before dropping on the opposite side, in front of a massive door blocked by the biggest lock Naruto had ever seen. Shit, I forgot to find a key for this. Can I just Rasengan this down again? He asked. Nope, charm block. Even if in tatters, the protections around it are still pretty strong. It's either you finding the key or using a more powerful version of what you used against that baboon and leveling the whole room to dust. Midna answered. Sigh. Okay, let's go find that blasted key. The young man answered with a whine. Inside the room, in the meantime, purplish water kept bubbling and smoke smelling of decaying matter clung in the air as the great Twilight parasite Diababa kept feeding on the great tree and its surroundings. Her children kept growing well, and her hunger was everlasting. But the strange figure that kept killing her babies did not stop. It was drawing closer, and soon Diababa herself would feast on his weak flesh, and then use that nourishment to grow her babies into great plants. Ancient power was flowing through her, turning what was once a little seed into the mother she was now, enlarging her hold on the trees at each passing day. The weak human won't stop her, he will feed her. When the big door opened, silence welcomed Naruto as the contaminated waters stood still, the predator hidden under the surface, waiting with the same patience of the greatest animal predators. When the incautious blonde stepped near enough to the shore, one of the huge heads of Diababa shot out, swallowing the intruder whole in a simple, fluid motion, the smallest of gulps, and the whole body went swallowed towards the mighty stomach of Diabab. Bushin Daibakua, clone great explosion. The voice of the real Naruto said, as the parasite's head exploded to shreds, making a pained shriek echo in the whole temple. As if I will enter a room with something literally screaming about wanting to eat me. The blonde said as the real body of Diababa surfaced, the main head showing a single eye between its petals to glare at the shinobi. Yuck! And here I that the Jubi was ugly. Yadajimai said while watching Naruto dodge, to the side a pressurized jet of contaminated water coming from the giant monster. Grah! The remaining smaller mouth growled while moving forward, biting hard the terrain as Naruto jumped over it to evade the attack. Samahata, he said while removing the bandages almost completely and feeding it chakra, making its scales grow in length and a mouth appear on the tip. The sword has a mouth? Midna said with wide eyes. It does, and it's a hungry mouth. The blonde replied while slashing down, cutting away the second head before running up the stump it left behind, ignoring its rapid rotting to focus on the main head. Ogra! Bellowing in rage, Diababa shook its head to launch the young man towards the wall, but surprised to see the human land on it with ease before running on it to evade the new jet of water the parasite was shooting at him. Futon, Rinkuden, wind release, drilling air bullet, Naruto yelled, spitting a huge bullet of compressed air that drilled a hole in the lower half of the monster's body. Go! The parasite grunted, trying to slam its head on the shinobi. No! Open up! I need to destroy that eye, the young man said while jumping over the giant head and slashing with all his strength on one of the petals, trying at the same time to not be bucked off from the struggling parasite. With a dull, cracked dash, one of the three parts forming Diababa's mouth went teared away in a shower of purplish blood. As the huge parasite reared its head back in a piercing scream, Naruto jumped back on the floor, watching with a satisfied smirk as the only eye of the beast was now glaring at him in hate. Does it hurt? He asked with a straight face, earning a scream of rage in answer. I'll take that as a yes, the young man said as he dodged to the left, leaving the jet of water pass near him while digging in the floor. Busuke no Jutsu, shadow clone technique, the blonde said as 6 copies of him came into being, 2 running on the walls towards Diababa, while the other 4 plus the original moved forward. GRRR. Growling at the new menace, the parasite reared its head back, ready to spit water once again, conscious that without a third of its mouth biting was out of the question. Now! The original Naruto ordered as the 2 clones on the sides jumped on the monster, each grabbing one of the remaining lips of Diababa. The other 4 clones soon joined their brothers, using the combined effort of 4 blondes to pry the parasite's mouth open, leaving the eye defenseless. Now take this, the original said, jumping high, planting Samahata deep in the eye of the creature, making its cry of pain shock the whole room while slowly fading into silence as it died. Jumping down the rapidly wilting parasite, Naruto could only watch in smug satisfaction as the whole body blackened like a dying plant. And while the water and the rest of the tree seemed to heal instantaneously from what appeared to be the corrupting presence of Diababa, the remaining husk of the creature erupted into black particles, floating slowly in the air before condensing into a pitch-black stone tablet. What the? Naruto muttered while grabbing the strange object, yelping in surprise and dropping it as soon as it touched his hands, only to be grabbed by an eager Midna that looked at it with a pleased expression. Well done! This is what I was looking for. Its name is Fused Shadow. It's what the light spirit called dark power. Do you remember what that spirit said? About how you had to match the power of the King of Shadows. Could it really be so easy? Is it this all there is to it? Well, we'll only need to collect every one of them to find out, Midna said with a happy laugh. All of them? Naruto asked with a worried expression. There is a total of 3 fused shadows. I think the other light spirits have the rest, but if you want to know exactly what fused shadows are, well, maybe I'll tell you if you find the other 2, of course. I guess you'd better do your best to find them. Huh? She answered with a dark-sounding giggle. Oi, don't give me that shit. That thing smells of darkness. I can feel the evil oozing out of it in waves. So unless you tell me what the fuck that is, you will have to hunt those by yourself, the blonde said with a furious snarl. I don't need to explain this to you. You won't understand, Midna answered with narrowed eyes, surprised to hear him scream in rage. That's it. I am out of this. I am tired of this. You can't understand bullshit. First with Sasuke, then with Kakashi and Tsunade, and now you. I am not an idiot. I won't be led around by the nose, because you people think that I am a moron. Don't want to tell me? Fucking finish. I will save the kids and find a way to stop that idiot King of Shadows and resolve this crisis by myself, like I always do, Naruto said while walking back towards the door. And how do you plan to do this? You need my help. You can't understand how the Twilight works since it's not of this world. Midna answered while grabbing the young man's whole body with her colossal hair-made hand. Piss off. I defeated a demon that by all rights should have been invincible when I was just a young brat. I killed a goddess guiding a 10-tailed abomination, and sure as fuck, I can deal with a weirdo that likes to turn everything in shades of gray. Even a seer that predicted my own death had to watch as I shat on that, and kept living. I am not the dead last. I am not a loser. Naruto answered, breaking free with an animal-sounding grunt. Hey, stop this whining, you idiot. Throwing a childish tantrum won't help me change my mind, the small girl said, flying towards him until their faces stood barely an inch from each other. You speak so high and mighty, but maybe Yadajima is right. Is this mess your fault as well? The blonde asked, pleased to see her flinch. What do you mean? Midna asked back, her anger faltering. You won't tell me, that's for sure, but this doesn't mean I can't make suppositions. You somehow are part of the reason Twilight is covering everything. Otherwise, Zelda herself won't have stressed how much those strange beasts were hunting you down. And now I have seen something that had been probably corrupted by a piece of the something you want me to collect, the fuse shadows, as you called it. And so I wonder, am I helping a bad guy? Or I am just the instrument a coward wants to use to repair her mistake? Help me choose, please, Naruto said with a feral smile. You don't understand. You ignorant fool. Midna yelled in rage. Here we go again with the snob talking. What's wrong? Scared of saying a more common fuck you? Come on, try it. It's very liberating, the blonde said in amusement. You spoiled braslap. Midna tried saying before the blonde's hand caught her cheek fully, shocking her. Don't you dare to call me like that. I had to swallow more shit in my life than anyone should have in 3 lifetimes. If ever. I am everything but spoiled. I had to work myself to death and back to have the bare minimum. Naruto answered in fury. Calm down, there is no need to get mad. Yadajima said in worry. No, I won't calm down. I am tired of being the forgiving one. The blonde answered. How dare you? You. Fuck you. Midna yelled with watering eyes. There. See? It's not hard to step down to the commoner's level. You snotty bitch. The young man said. I'm not a bitch. The girl answered with clenched teeth. But you act just like one. There is no difference. Naruto answered. Fuck you then. She yelled. No, fuck you. The blonde answered. Fuck you. No you, bitch, asshole. Midna said with a roar, her forehead pressing on his with a narrowed eye while both growled at each other. Piece of sure. Naruto was about to say before the small imp took a handful of his hair and slammed her lips on his, slithering her smaller, but longer, tongue in his mouth. Hoy, stop it. He is mine, Yadajima said with a growl. Ignoring the vixen, the two kept kissing, hungrily tasting the other's tongue as the two twisted and twirled together in the furious kiss, Midna hovering slightly higher to force her drool down his throat. Drown in me, breathe me, choke, swallow, and endure it. The very aroused imp thought while sucking on his tongue, pinching his nose to force him to drink her. Breath play? Two can do this, Naruto thought in a daze, surprising her. He took a hold of her hair and pulled back painfully before returning to the kissing, this time with his tongue invading her mouth and exploring every nook and cranny of the small area. You ain't. Midna moaned as he drove the thick appendage down her throat, almost choking her while he caressed all the way down with hungry swirls and back-and-forth motions. I said to stop right the fuck now, Yadajima roared in fury, forcing her will to take over the young man's body and pushing the imp girl away, separating the two now panting and flustered kissers. Oh God, Naruto said as he slowly took back control. I am. Let's just leave this place. Midna spluttered in embarrassment, while the blonde was completely red in his face. Her own had took a slightly greenish tint in her version of the blushing, coming from her being of a different race. Yeah. Sorry about that. Don't know what came over me, the blonde said with a nervous tone. Same for me. Listen, I am not one of the bad guys. It's just for you people, the fuse shadows feels like the embodiment of evil, but it's just an ancient and powerful weapon from where I come from. That feeling comes from the fact that the nearest thing your mind can compare it to is darkness. I just need that to help you resolve this problem about the Twilight. The thing is just too nasty to talk about. Just be satisfied with this. I don't want to talk about this. Midna said, surprised to see the blonde stare in her eyes with an indescribable intensity, almost to read her own soul. Sigh, I believe you, but for future reference, trust my judgment a little bit more. I am here to help you. If you need to keep secrets, that's fine, but if there are details that can help us, please at least see if you can at least give me some bits every now and then. Naruto said with a tired sigh, while passing in hand through his hair. Really? She asked. Don't know with what kind of people you're used to talk to, but I usually like to move heaven and earth to help my friends, at the cost of my life most of the times too. He answered. Oh, sorry for that spoiled comment, by the way. It was uncalled for. Midna muttered. I called you bitch. I was wrong, two-piece? Naruto said, presenting his pinky finger with a gentle smile. Hey, what do you think I am? A little girl? Midna asked with a short laugh. What I think you are? An annoying little pest, maybe, but also a friend. He answered. You have no idea how annoying you are. I have never met someone like you able to go so deep under my skin without even trying. Oh, to hell with it. If you can't beat them, join them, peace. She said with a theatrical huff, latching her pinky finger to his with an happy smile. Friends? Friends, but just because I like you, friends is one thing, but mouth-raping my man is another. You filthy bitch. Yadajimai said with an angry snarl, totally ignored by the other two. About what I said before, are you really part of this whole mess? And no need to tell me the whole truth, but at least give me an idea. Naruto asked. I still can't tell you, but know this, I can just say that I was unable to act at a given moment. That and other issues are the cause of this, but I need your help to resolve this. As for now, I can't do this by myself. She answered, momentarily closing her eyes as if in pain. His hug silenced any other thing she wanted to say. It was warm, caring, and even more than friendly, as she could swear she could feel a tinge of love in it as well. She was totally unprepared for that. Is that true? He asked, looking in her eyes once again. Yes, then I am all yours. I will help you at the best of my abilities. The blonde said with a nod and a smile. When he says that he is yours, he is being metaphorical. He already has me, so he doesn't need any other. I can tolerate Ilya, just because I am still trapped here, but nothing more than that. Yadajimai said, it's a pity then. He is a great kisser. You sure you want to stay with that giant furball? I can be used so much better. Midna said with a smirk, while snapping her fingers to open a portal on the floor. Lemon part on my Patreon, because you know I can't publish here. So if you are adult, and if you want, you can listen to it on my Patreon. So link in description. That's it for today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you do, please leave a like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to check out author of this story. Thanks for watching. Take care.